similar experience and similar intentions to help people, and especially farmers, because somehow we both come from a very humble background of farming from our home countries. And we have seen I've seen my one generation going into farming, other leaving it, and then another getting into it. And so like to and fro, but one thing was constant: too much financial stress. And I believe with these podcasts we will help people across the globe to get out of that stress. And yes, let's see how it goes. So let's start. Rico, what we got today, what we are showing people, what we are telling them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then I just want to add that, yeah, my prayers go to all you guys over there, farmers. Yeah, we were just discussing how many people there were last night on the call, and it was one point when you said 1.7 billion people. I was like, and then you told me that the government had to fast them for a while. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, like, what what a collaboration to of use of resources, right? And
Yeah,
but now hearing this flooding, I mean, obviously it's not a great experience, but everything that happens for a reason, and it just makes the country stronger too. Because
exactly.
that's what we talked about too. It was like the war, how it brings everybody together, and everybody has a purpose, and so
Yeah.
that hasn't happened so far in first countries, but third world and second countries comes about, and we don't know the struggles that we have, that you have as well, because you're probably facing it too, and you're seeing it firsthand, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So yeah, all my prayers to you guys.
Thank
So let's start with the show. Why is the land biggest decision, and what first are the mistakes that most common farmers make? What is the number one thing you wish you knew before you buying land?
Hmm. You go first. You're a real estate guy. Why not?
Okay.
Nobody can do better
Yeah.
than this.
Oh gosh. Well, it was topography is one of them. Where the land sits, if it's flat, hilly.
Hmm.
Um, Here in BC, we have in the Okanagan, especially because we're in the desert. There in
Hmm.
the winter time, there's a so-called frost pockets. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you get similar patterns over
Yeah.
there in India, but the
Yeah.
frost pockets are really harsh on the plant. Is in the winter as well. Even a lot of people think that they go dormant, but actually,
Hmm.
plants still have energy left in the roots. So it's as
Okay.
far as the frost penetrates is where they get affected, right? So the older the trees are, the more chances are that the tree will survive the frost. But for
Hmm.
starting off, as we all do with a farm and we start planting, um, that frost pocket location is very critical,
Hmm.
as of an experience that I had as well.
Hmm.
My other big one for land, I know it doesn't have to do with land, but it's also water. Where does the water sit?
Hmm.
Whereas again, it's connected to the topography of the land, but it's still like an important issue, because if you don't have water, you can't grow crops, right? So everything is affected on that level too, and it's something that, when you go buy land, a lot of people buy emotionally, right?
Yeah.
Especially in real estate. But
Yeah.
when you're starting a farm, it's definitely a different story, because you have to look at the variables, and you have to create a farm that is profitable, and
Hmm.
it's the name of the game. And then, soil structure, it's another big one, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
we talked about it yesterday too, is the fact that if soil is being eroded and being over acidified by chemical usage, well,
Yeah.
then you're buying bunk land, right, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Absolutely.
Sorry for use that term.
Mhm.
And then you have to know the plant species that thrive in that area. That brings me to the story that when we first bought our farm, we came from Vancouver, which is a very alluvial climate, plenty of
Yep.
water, and we came to an arid climate, which is very low humidity. And what
Mm-hmm.
we thought, we're looking at soil erosion, and soil erosion, one of the things that erodes soils is the wind. So it's very windy in the valley, especially a north to south wind. And so we're like planning and we strategize and we're like, oh, we're going to build a windbreaker. Here we go. We're going to go buy some cedar trees and we're going to plant them all across the north side of the land and we're going to protect ourselves. And then we got it. We got loads. I got a load straight from a farm in Chilliwack. So I transported them 3 hours away, put in the work. We planted them spaced out at 10 feet away. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, shoot, I got to water these. And then it was like water them every day. Sometimes when it got to like 35 degrees, I had to water them twice a day. And it was just, I was like, oh my God, all my operations on the farm where I had to make money took a sidekick. And then I got caught and I just watched them not burn, but literally dry up into little stick. And so as financial planning is key, so is farm planning, having a plan of how to execute it, to find out the times, and to not make mistakes because they're costly. And they're lessons that you're going to remember for the rest of your life.
But not everyone is lucky like you, who is who is hardworking and who got a lot of energy to go through all these dark sides and then rebounds back and then become like doing so many things and like be successful. Not everyone is like that, especially in India. There's like so much lack of technology, opportunities, resources. If one of the farmers make mistake like this in India, he's gone. He's under that moment. That's it. One mistake, he's gone.
Well, I gotta say that I was lucky that I saved from my previous contracting job. I saved in RSPs, and I was able to tap into that funds and learn my lesson. I took it as like my father-in-law taught me. You know, these are all lessons, and in some other way, you always have to pay for them. And if it was out of my pocket, or if I went to university for farming, I'm still paying, right? So it's just
one way or other way.
Yeah, there's only a way. So I'm like, okay, it's not so much of a loss, right? Like it's how you change your perspective and how you see things, right? Like you can look at it as a loss, or you can look at it as a gain and a lesson, and then you move on. And that's what I learned in life. Just stay positive. These are all lessons, and there's a reason for everything, right? So, yeah.
Makes sense.
How about you? How what lessons and stories you have about land?
So in India, since we are the oldest civilization in the world, living civilization in the world, I'm just letting everyone know on our podcast. India is the oldest, and I'm proud of it. Yeah. It has some good things, some bad things, but those said we'll discuss later on. But in India, land ownership is directly linked to the family legacy. Most of the big farmers got land from their forefathers and fathers. That's how it came to them. But not everyone is lucky. And the second thing, like because of the population you mentioned, the land holding is very small right now. So it goes every day. Like someone sells it, someone buys it. So while someone is buying land, it is no doubt it is the biggest decision, because it is the highest capital for farming you require to start as a new farmer. That's why we took this topic. But like there's sometimes people make a lot of mistakes in India. In India, the problems are like pretty much similar like there, like soil quality, like I mentioned you, like if soil is eroded, there's no good topsoil, they have to change everything. They have to wait for 1 or 2 years just to maintain that bio levels of the farm or the topsoil, which supports the growth of plants. Second thing, like irrigation is one big problem in India. You need to have bore wells, but water levels are pretty down, so sometimes even having a bore well is not helping. So having a proper irrigation channel across the farm is another key point which a farmer should be looking while leasing or buying the property. If for us, like we are into dairy farming, they need to see that how is the feed access to them, like how is the land nearby, or is it fertile enough to give you feed for your cows, or you have to buy it from somewhere. If you're buying from somewhere, and again, it's very costly, it's not
It's a
easy
huge loss.
buying
Yeah.
them, transporting, and it's not fresh. Again, the health of the animals,
Yeah.
second part. Next one is like
That's
illegal selling.
that's huge.
That's huge. Yeah,
That's huge, especially in milking. The health of the animal is
exactly.
number one, right? To
Yeah.
keep them, going and strong.
Biggest issue is basically having illegal land purchases. So in India, they
Oh,
forge documents sometime, they sell you something, and after maybe year or 2 years, the real owner shows up and he say, "Oh, you're on my land. Oh no, this is my land. I paid for this." No, the third person is gone. He's like he took money. He's in new city. You can't find him, and then both the parties are into some legal application. For a farmer, it is like very disheartening, giving up all his savings and then finding all these issues. Then one big problem is land leveling. If your land is not level, you can't plow it with your farm equipment like tractor, or like still in India, they use bulls to plow their farms.
wow,
It's still
that's
there.
cool.
I know you're remembering those 16th century of Italy.
Yeah,
No, it is still there in India. Like I still, we are the oldest, and we are still the oldest. And
and
so
that
when
is
you
hard
don't,
work. That is
yeah,
hard
when you
work.
don't level up, now we have big machines like JCB. We were able to do it. That happened with the dairy land we had. Like first 5 6 years, we have to level it, but it costed a lot,
Yeah.
because it's a specialized job to level the land. And sometimes you are stuck. You know why? Your farm is in between or with other farms, and they don't allow a machine to run over their farms, so you
Oh,
can't do anything.
access.
Yes, the
That's another
accessibility.
important thing.
That's the
Yeah,
important thing that
yeah,
I was about to say. Next thing, sometimes people buy far off in some lands, and they do it far from their home, and they're not able to manage it or have a look for their farm. Second thing, if they have produced, how to transport it to the main city. Again, the cost of transportation increases.
yeah.
That directly impacts your revenue for sure. So all these points which I mentioned are pretty much important while looking for your like making your biggest decision. Okay, so just letting everyone know that we will be sharing a PDF as well, in which we have mentioned all these points. And if anyone wants to have more knowledge about it, in India I am here, in Canada Rico is there. So just reach
Yeah.
out to us. We will help you to identify the key problems which you might face, and what are the key points which you have to go through, okay, before buying your biggest asset in farming, which
Yes.
can be your biggest blessing, or it can be your biggest mistake. That's why we are here, to save you.
Well said. But I also
Yes.
want to say that land, we think about, acres and acres of land, but it's possible to actually farm even in your deck. So
Yeah, yeah.
any area that you have has included everything that what we're going to talk about into the land. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you're on your balcony or if you're have a 50-acre farm. It doesn't matter. Every single system applies, just like in finance. Every
Yeah.
single system applies if you're personal or if you're business, right? Everything
Exactly.
has to be planned and checked out, right? Making it like a little checklist.
Like
So
you said it, for me, a new farmer is not someone who will give up his job and then just start farming. No, that's not the definition. Farmer
no,
is someone who can grow as small as your own little tomatoes and your own green
that's
chilies in
right.
the background. That's how you start.
That's how
And
you
we have,
grow.
that's how you grow
Yeah,
from the first thing. That's how you grow. So
yeah,
for the definition of farming, it's not like big lands. And like I see some very young people on our podcast, just letting everyone know, the biggest skill in on the earth is to grow your own food. If you
100%.
can't do it, if you can't do it, it is like you are not skillful to basically survive on your own. That's very
That's right.
simple. If you don't
Independence and freedom, right? Freedom.
yeah, just for the food, just for the food.
Just
I'm
for
not
the
saying
freedom.
we are
Yeah.
we are social animals. We have to live in a system, okay? But growing your own food is so important. That's why, like, being a new farmer doesn't mean you have to start crazy. You can just start with your deck, like he said, or maybe a uh, small garden on which a portion can be dedicated just for your little tomatoes, cherries, potatoes, anything which you want to grow. You are a farmer. That's
Yes.
it. You are a
You're a
farmer.
farmer. You are. That's what it, and that's a good transition point for our next one, which is
Yeah.
buying versus leasing land.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about India, but I hope you can explain it a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
what is the cost? Like you mentioned it before too, that there's a high cost involved when you're buying, and so that brings the question: is like, is it buying better or is it leasing better land? You can
Uh,
start with this one.
so for us, when we started our dairy farm, we leased it out basically because the farm land cost nearby the cities are pretty expensive because of the commercializing happening.
Yeah.
So now farmers are not looking at their lands as like their motherland, but they are selling it off to get some good money. Some smart farmers are getting like big patches of land up in interior, while other people are just selling them off and then giving up their farming, moving to cities, doing some investments. So for us, when we started, because we had already other huge investments lined up, like getting cows, getting farm equipments, because we were starting from scratch, building all the shed and everything, we went for leasing. And it was a pretty good decision for us. Pretty good
Right.
decision.
Right.
Because we saved some, because first 3 years we struggled a lot in terms of finances. It was a teamwork of me, my brother, and my father. I was the
Yeah.
marketing and the planning guy. My father was financer, which is the biggest one. My brother was doing all the hard work with like all the blue collared people and then making connections. So first 3 4 years we struggled a lot with cash flow because we were not we started our dairy farm with small cows, like young born cows. We didn't started with the milking cows because we didn't found the pure breed of Indian indigenous cows, which call A2 milk. So first 3 years since we were leasing, we had a lot of money saved up for our operation cost. This saved us big time.
Right. Yeah.
And now when we say, oh, you have to own it, owning has its own good points, okay? Especially if you have good cash flow. One second thing, if you're buying in one of the areas where the land is not at expensive, I will suggest to buy a land, because again, that's why we call land a real estate, because it's real in the end. If you have land, you can get some loans against it because it's on your name. We can't get a loan on the land. We can get a loan on our dairy business, but on not on the land because we are leasing it. So, like, this is the kind of thing. What are you saying? So when I say that buying is like more building your own equity, having some control, but when I say leasing, it's more flexible. You can leave your farmland if it doesn't work out. You can
That's
leave
it.
that place. It doesn't turn out to be very fertile land, or something is wrong. Sometimes you fail, and it's okay to fail, even in farming, even in finance, even in your personal relationships. And the best way is not like you give up, but you start afresh. So leasing give you option to start again because you invested low, okay? And then but only dark side of leasing I will mention: if it runs good, your owner sees, oh my god, he's like
Yes.
gold out of it, he will kick you out next year. That's the dark side of leasing, man. We
Yeah.
were able to do it because we the land we leased was from my father's friend, one of my uncles, who gave up like farming way back. They were leasing out to someone who were paying nothing. So when we gave him with the idea, he asked us only one thing: can you give us good milk? That was the only demand from him. So we were lucky by that point. But if you're leasing, have your documentation that done pretty well, with your exit strategies properly mentioned, with lock-in periods at least for 3 to 5 years. What is the minimum I suggest? Okay, and uh, cover your risk. That's the most important thing. Cover your risk. Don't invest that much in the land that once you leave, you are not able to take that thing, because whatever you invest in land in terms of like improving the soil, leveling it, whatever it is, you can't take it back. It is there. So that's my take. What do you say? What do you go
Yeah.
for? Lease or
Wow.
buy? Lease or buy?
That's excellent points. Yeah, I might add, just because we're in a colder climate, being up in Canada, so we have a longer winter season. I don't know how it compares to you guys over there, but
Hmm.
here there's the one major problem. Like I spoke at the beginning,
Yeah.
was the frost. Right, everything freezes, everything goes to sleep. But
Yep.
and so the land as well has to take, which is sometimes is beneficial to take that rest, because over exploiting the land will cost in the long run in production. But yeah, but there's ways that you have to come up with strategic ways to keep your finances going over the winter, right?
Yeah.
And that affects, where you buy land too.
Hmm.
The proximity, like what you spoke about, is the proximity to the city. See, there's two things. If you make a product and then you have to ship it, what is the cost involved in that, right? So, like,
Yep.
I had a farm in Oliver, and I was about a 45 minutes drive to the nearest density
Hmm.
city. So
Yep.
to me, I had to transport the food that I grow 45 minutes there and then 45 minutes back. So that's
Hmm.
an hour and a half that I have to include in my cost. So when
Okay.
you're buying land, you have
Hmm.
to take into account these costs as well, because they affect your profits,
Yep.
right?
Big time.
And that's another thing that that I didn't realize. I was like, oh, this is cheap land, I'm just going to buy it here, right? And I went with the emotion. Obviously, I didn't know what I know now, and starting off, and then going what you said. I mean, you made great points about the comparison about buying and leasing. With buying, yeah, you're getting this high cost, but you have full control. So it's like, it's, if you know what you're doing and you have the proper plan, probably buying is the best solution, because you are building your equity with paying off your mortgage or loan, whatever you have on the land
Yep.
itself. So
Hmm.
you're building your finances for the future, and you're sort of proofing, you're weatherproofing your farm. With
Hmm.
leasing, again, like you said, it's low startup cost, it's easy, and especially it's good if you were to start off. Like, if I had to do it again, I would probably lease and do what you guys did, because
Yep.
it's just the lessons are, there's a gap in between the learning curve and then the actual making profits in a business and launching the business. And that's, everybody struggles the first 2 to 5 years, right? Any
Yep.
business, it doesn't matter if it's real estate, if it's finances, if it's contracting. Your name got to get out there, you got to learn as you go. It's like, again, building the plane as you fly, right? So you're learning to fly, you're learning to all the aspects about, and hats off to farmers. Like you
Yeah.
said, you got to have a financer, you got to have a marketer, you got to have, like, the knowledge base, and you got to have the skills. You have to have everything together in order to continue and be successful. And
Just
because
like
it's
any business. Just like any business.
just like any business, right? But
Exactly.
but it is so essential, because if you don't eat, you don't continue on, right? It's like that game over kind of thing.
I would I would like to add something here. I
Yeah.
came up with these ratios. Let's say someone has like $100 to start their business, or let's say they're farming. They started to farm. The best way is to keep the cost of the land less than 30%. Keep it less than 30%. Just calculate it. If owning is crossing that level, if it's over 50, you're gone. You will not survive because you need another 20% to buy just to start. Just to start, you need another 20%. Then you need at least 50% to stay alive for next 3 years. That's what you need. So when you are going and making a like your financing basic, I'm not telling you to go deep down, just simple 30 20 50. That's it. 30 20 50. 30 is for your land lease or ownership, 20% is for your overland expenses like equipment, so your plants and everything, irrigation system, and 50% for 3 years of opex. At least you need it.
Love it. Let's coin that term, 30, 20, 50. That's a great term. And then also what we teach in finance is to have a little bit of a contingency fund. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, man, that's what I said, 50%. We'll have a separate session for like emergency funds and everything, like we said. But that's the ratio, just keep in mind for their farming. What's next, Rico? What we're discussing?
Well, this can bring up a little idea that we can work on, is also create a free budgeting plan where we can sit down and then come up with areas where you must budget, right? Like what you said, like look at the land, look at the 30% cost, and then work it from there. If you can't afford it, then let's look at other creative financing aspects, because there is solutions. If you want it so bad, there is lots of solutions, and a lot of people are not in the knowledge of solutions out there, and that's a little bit what I apply with my background. So let's talk about that, actually, because like I don't know what's over there for leasing. Like what you talked about before was like, I lease your land and I trade you milk. That's beautiful. I mean, that's
one of the cases. It's not everything.
That can't get any better, because you're not paying taxes, you're not paying any fees. The government doesn't have any hands in it.
Like good old days, the
good old days, right?
The good old days, yes, man. No money, no stress.
Right there, you just shared a great point, because it's like, become creative, like creative financing. It doesn't have to involve money. It can just involve old time, techniques, right? And then one of them is, how about I share my products, right? So back 15 years ago, when we first started farming, in Vancouver, there was a huge movement about people coming to big houses, big yards, right? And they were all planted in grass, right? And these people would just knock on the door and be like, hey, can I turn your front yard into like a luscious green space, and I can give you like fruits and vegetables, all you want, all your family needs. All I want is your permission to do so. And then some people would say, no, I like my yard green. But some people were saying yes. And what a beautiful way to start. Free of charge. All you have to do is, like, you already got your 30% covered, right? And now you're 20% operating cost, and then front yards is like a great start, like all you have to do is just buy the seeds. And hopefully they will supply the water. You don't want to transport water too far, but it could happen. Or you could recycle the water, especially in Vancouver. You can put a rain barrel. That's what a lot of people were doing, because rainwater is a lot better than municipal water. Because let's not talk about municipal water. Maybe that's another one. We'll do another podcast about water and the importance.
We can't talk about it. It's live. We can't talk about
it. That's right. We're live. But there's also other ways of being able to finance. In real estate, we have like vendor take-back mortgages. So you create a mortgage with the landowner, because guess what? They posted it online. They want to sell. So you can go there. If they haven't had, and this is a great time to do so, because it's a buyer's market. So there's that kind of leverage. I mean, obviously there's a little bit of risk involved for the seller, but it's okay to just ask. Like it's simple. It's just like knocking on doors. Just knock on the farmer's door and be like, hey, I see you got this land, you're not using it, do you want to buy it? I don't have money right now, but I'm going to farm it. I'm going to pay you a mortgage monthly or yearly, whatever you can arrange, right? Or there's an option, rent to own. How about I pay you a little bit higher for the rent, but with the prospect of buying it in the next 2-3 years? If you did that, then when you have the land fertile, then you're not losing on the lease and you have control still. And it can be highly stressful. Yes, I get that. But it can also be like resourceful, right? Like you can actually gain land by just doing the work and learning, right? So that's another thing. Or you can group buy, get together with friends. And that was another idea that I had on the farm, is like, hey, we got so much space. Why don't we just get together and bring in people, invest in it, right? And then it's your land, my land, just like what we're doing with financing. We're collaborating. We're part of the team. We just want to grow, right? So what do you have to say? What ideas are out there too? Because this is a mastermind as well.
I will give you a story from where you started about those grasslands. That was the one way that capitalist economies started to wipe off your gardens, was to tell people that the ones who just have grass in front of their home are rich people. That's the idea they started, man. And that's how you see, like, the bigger the house, they have the bigger empty areas. They just want to show off that we don't need to grow anything because we are rich. But it was one of the ways to kill the farming from its own point, where from the people, by distinguishing that farmers are poor. If you do farming, you are poor. If you have empty grassland, just grass on it, you are rich. So I read it somewhere. So, one of my so many readings, that was one of. For us, there are so many ways to raise capital, to buy or like to start your farming. Okay. One is like having agricultural loans. So we have NABARD. It is a kind of rural banking system launched by central government to support farmers, wherein you can go and apply for agriculture loans and you get it. I personally like this one rather than taking loan, one of the ways you suggested, from the lenders, because the lenders terms can change anytime, their rates can change anytime, they are pretty higher interest rates. But the NABARD is one of the government bodies which has pretty low rates for farmers, and that's one way to get agriculture loan. Second is like, we called it Kisan Credit Card, KCC. So Kisan, can you name it? Kisan, not the song. Kisan. Kisan is the Indian word for your farming. Is something ringing?
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. I like, oh my God, some Ricardo bell starting ringing. Kisan word. So Kisan
that is live. We're live.
Kisan is Indian. Like, it's a word for farmers. It stands. So it's farmer credit card. So it's a kind of like, you can get a KCC, like a credit card only. You can use it as a short-term working capital. You need to buy seeds for some time. You need to buy feed for your farm, something like that. You get that KCC and you get it, because India, when it was independent, we were 98%. 98% occupation was just farming, nothing else.
Scary, eh? Scary statistics. Yeah. No, I'm just being sarcastic.
Yeah. Okay. Then there are like so many government subsidy schemes right now for first-time farmers. For that, you have to keep looking at the government websites for your state government, for your central government, in which they are giving subsidies when you buy certain things. Like we are going big on black turmeric, because turmeric is something which we export a lot to the world. And after COVID, people found out that how turmeric is good after COVID, not before COVID. It's so beneficial. People started to import a lot. So government looks at this like a kind of way to decrease because we import oil a lot, so we are in we are trade deficit, like we're negative in trade. We are
Right.
always dollar deficit as per the definition in the economy. So with these aspects growing up, government backing these plans to become trade positive, so they are giving certain subsidies for first time farmers in specialized crops like
Wow,
herbs.
that's amazing.
Yeah, man, that's one of my friend is doing in up in mountains. He got some land, now he's growing some rare Ayurveda herbs, and he's getting 90% subsidy. Can you imagine?
90%. That's amazing.
Yes.
That
If you
takes care of your 20%, right?
yes, that's one of the best thing you can do. And
Ah,
then since India got so many bright minds, so we came up with certain modern approaches. So I will let our audience know that we have crowdfunding platforms as well for agriculture fundraising.
ooh, that's a good
Crowdfunding,
one. Wow, that's a good one.
but
That's a really good
but
one.
the only thing is that you have to be creative, because it is like kind of like VCs are sitting there. There's some good VCs also. Technically, if you see across the globe, there are only less than 1% of the startups, agri farming startups, which are backed up by some VCs. Only 1% out of all the startups which rose in last 20 years. Only 1%. Can you imagine how low is that number? But it is pretty high in India, because people like me, if I have to invest, I will go emotional if someone brings up me with a good idea of farming. And I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
there are people like me who are investing. So that's one. Second is community farming pools. Like we do, just letting everyone know, insurance is like a kind of risking your pool. Oh, sorry, it's a pool of risk. Same goes for community farming pools, where several farmers pool their funds to buy large parcels, like large pieces of land. That's what you're saying. Like
Nice.
friends, farmers, you can do it. You can just
Yeah.
pull in that money, and you can go out and buy some big land for pretty good prices. Share, divide your cost in terms of
Leverage. Yeah.
leverage each other. Divide the cost of like irrigation, then leveling it. Then if you have to improve the everything,
Oh,
then you
pool
can divide.
sharing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Then
that's
we
what
have
I had too. Yeah.
yeah, then we have CSR initiatives by some of the big companies like Tata in India. Tata is one such big company. It's here since 1860 and one of the oldest, and one of the companies I really admire because of their vouch to help to give back to society. One way they're investing, giving back is through their corporate social responsible partnerships with certain farming groups, which further help incubators, kind of incubators for farmer, which they invest in sustainable agriculture projects. Then again, we have same vendor financing. You can allow like you can go to a vendor, ask for the money, then he will deduct, well, he will buy your products, and then he put a little bit on it. But by this way, he's basically ensuring that you will sell your products to him only. Then we have agri startup grants from there's so many central government. If you are in like or like even private agri accelerators are there, which are funding directly to the farmers, new farmers. Then revenue share deals, like you mentioned, invest now. You don't talk to landowner, but you talk to investor who got a lot of money, but he don't want to go out and farm and do the dirty hands. So he says that okay, I will take the money and I will take the good crop. If it's organic, it will help my family and my health to grow. In return, you sell it, I will help you to sell it also. Because once he tell his rich friends, hey, I got some organic, uh, name any vegetable. I got some organic
Squash,
vegetable.
zucchini.
Yeah, no, that is small scale. Some
Yeah.
big, like you eat every day, like flour, wheat, or some kind of millet. I have tons of this. He can just recommend
Quinoa.
and sell it, and then he can make profit of it. Then we have NGOs which are helping farmers by providing funds, channelizing through governments. Then we have agri tech equity funding. So it is one of the pretty new terms, you know, agri
Agri
tech
equity.
equity funding.
Tech.
So let's say I have a startup in farming, but it's not traditional farming. Let's say I'm doing hydroponics. Like
Hydroponics
I, yes, it's one way. It's a very good tool to grow a
yeah
lot of vegetables in very small. It is a
in
kind of
small paces.
techno-
Yeah.
yes. I'm using a technology to grow certain certain produce,
Mhm.
where weather is controlled, produce is controlled, everything is controlled, so the production itself is guaranteed. So there
Yeah.
are so many platforms who are doing it, and then you can make a online e-platform like for your farmers market. You can have e-platforms like e-commerce platforms for just agriculture products. If you
Yeah.
do that, you will get a lot of money for sure. Then we have green bonds. If you own a very big land,
Ooh, green bonds.
for everyone, just search about Vantara. Vantara. So,
Montana.
world's richest man, Ambani's son, just got around 30,000 acres of land, and he just what he did, he just planted a lot of forest. He had all the species of all the animals across the globe in that forest, and what he's doing, he's selling carbon credits to his
Nice.
own family who are the biggest producer for oil refineries as well.
Right.
And he gonna sell it, but you can also do it on small level. You
Yeah.
do crowdfunding, you buy big land with 10, 15 farmers, you do permaculture, you grow trees over there, you grow some good, and you give eco-friendly bonds, or you give carbon credit bonds to
Card.
the
Yeah.
companies, and they lend you money against it. It is one
Yeah.
of the newest way to raise money, but for that, yes, you need to be already in the business. But again, if someone is already new farmer and they're looking to go like big farmer, these are the pretty all the ways I know you can
Partner
raise some.
up.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you can partner up with more experienced farmers too. That's what we didn't mention either, right?
Yeah.
There's so many ideas. We could have a whole podcast about masterminding how to get going in farming. And
Yeah.
yeah, well, just one number that I want to fall back is you said 98% were farmers. And same here. I mean, they say when I first started, it was 95% of the people back in 1920 were farmers. So we're not far away from having that connection to the land. Like, I mean, obviously technology has grown and it's growing, and I can't wait to have AI implemented into like what you said, you know, like the control of hydroponic systems and the weather control, like having in greenhouses, you know, like that it's fully automated and then just food comes out. I mean, yeah, it's great. It's going to feed a lot of people, but then again, we're going to lose that connection, right? So we still want to stay in it in a sense, but obviously we'll have to ramp up production because
Exactly.
the population is growing, right?
Yeah.
And so,
You can be living on both sides,
yeah,
both
no,
modern and
I
you can
agree.
switch
I agree.
anytime. And
It's
like everyone is changing, even farmers need to change.
mhm.
That's need of an hour. We can't say that, okay, I'm not doing it. It's
No,
just I want to
that's
take it. It has to be
we
balanced both.
we have to embrace it without fear, you know, like not be scared of it. It's here for a reason. It was created by the collective, right? And it's what you do with it, right? Like it's if you have good intention, good things are going to come out of it. And that's why I promote it. Everybody should be using it for their daily things or just asking question, and then you get back your time. You know, Dan Martell talks about it. Buy back your time. Your
Yeah,
time is the most precious thing that you have,
on the earth.
and it's on earth. And then you want to fill it with great experiences. You don't want to fill it with like pain and suffering and all that, right? It's just if you don't like your job, quit. Stop reminiscing around. Oh, it'll get better tomorrow. No, stop.
That
Do
that
something
make me
else.
that make me curious about your journey of leaving that old job and buying. How did you end up becoming a farmer?
Okay, we don't have
How did
much time. I'll try to summarize it as small as possible. Like I said, it started off when I was 15 and I was just growing just one little tomato plant, just one seed packet I would get from the grocery store, and I would just plant my seeds and then one plant and I would water it and then it would just produce the tomatoes. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then after that, when I got older, I bought apartments. So like I was saying, I was doing it on my deck. couple of planter boxes, like couple of seeds. I managed even to grow pumpkin on my deck, and like there's restrictions in strata when they say unsightly, but I think having a green deck is probably the most beautiful sightly thing that you ever seen. But anyways, some people don't like that either. But then it just evolved. I bought a house, and again, at my house, I felt like I had ownership, and it was the first time I had physical land. So I was connected. I could go bare feet, and it was such a better feeling than being into a condo building. Nothing wrong with condos. It's just a process, but just being connected to the land, being able to like relax and just sit there and then just see your garden grow. There's nothing else, right? And so there, I took off. There was a 20 by 40 feet deck on the side of the house. I chopped it down to 10 by 10 feet, and I just planted a whole garden. I got my survival. I got the seeds from one of the best places because I did a lot of research, and heirloom seeds are the best to plant for crops. And then after I see what it came out, I was just blown away. I had 15-foot high corn. I did the Three Sisters. They're corn, and then you got your peas or your beans, and then you got your squashes. And it was like a forest. We could barely go in there and pick the squashes because they just got so like messed up, and it was in between the rows of corn, right? And the corn was like way up there. So it was just, I never felt so free to know that the food came the food came from the land that I had. So then I just decided, one day we were sitting, me and my wife looked at each other and was like, let's buy land. Let's go and buy a farm.
Okay.
And then we just said, okay. And we were like that. We were just like so outgoing and just no thought about it. No procrastination. We just took off that weekend, and we actually went to the Okanagan, and that's where the story goes. I'm gonna finish it there because we're probably running out of time and stuff. But that's how it's all started, and never looked back. I think that was one of the best decisions that I ever made. But obviously, I learned a lot. Like
awesome.
what we did here today. Awesome. So, but yeah. How about yourself? You just got in because of the family, or?
So for us, we already owned a farmland back in our village, but we moved to city when I was pretty young. Like when I was born in village, but when I was 3 or 4, I was already in city. So we never farmed our land. So we leased it out. So our idea, my father was into contracting for all those years. Then when he gave up contracting, I completed my master's in business. I was about to start actually. Then we came up idea, let's do something. Then we started looking for like what we should do nearby, not conventional, but for greater cause. Then we started with the idea of organic milk. But instead of buying land, we decided to go for land, leasing the land, because for us cattle was first priority, land was the second. Other was like it was kind of off when people asked, did you own your farmland? I said no. But, you don't own it. Like, why I need to own it? I can acquire, like I have pretty good house with good value in my city. Like it is over million as per Indian, that's the land value. But farmland value is not that much. Like, okay, I own this one, but I don't need to. So that was they do. But during those years when I started interacting with a lot of farmers, since it was a habit for me, my father, my grandfather, and my brother to help people out. So they used to come out with a lot of things, and most of the things were like land disputes. Someone took over the land because they were like simple farmers. Some goon took over. We have to help them. And then someone bought a title which was not clear because there was a family issue going on. We helped on that one. And then there were like some goons tried to just brush off some local simple farmers. We helped them to get rid of those high interest as high as 30 to 40%. Can you imagine 40%? So that was my experience with farming and land. So it was a mixed experience because of the greed of the people, or I can say at the same time because the farmers are too simple. Maybe greed, or maybe like they were just too simple. They didn't understand all about these stuff. They only care about like I should be doing farming, and yeah, that uh, because of all these reasons, I think I am able to share all these stories. So I'm grateful to God. I encountered with so many problems for myself and for other people that I'm able to share these experiences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's make that a takeaway then.
Yeah.
Um, like just before you fall in love with something, just make honest research, and then you can fall in love, I think. But start falling in love with the land, and using it and producing food. I would
Yeah.
say just just start small. We all start small with
Yeah.
anything, business
Yeah.
wise too. Start small, create little budgets here and there, and then
Yeah.
see what you can do, see what you can afford. Don't stress yourself. That's the
Hmm.
least thing you want to do, is create more stress
Yeah.
already in a fully distracting world.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Very well
then
said.
if you want to get into it, more than ever, you'll get all our support. And then
Anytime.
consider, like, since we shared both of our experiences, let's consider both leasing before buying, and then
Yeah.
one day build up your knowledge, and then go for buying, because there's benefits for it. We're definitely not against that, but as a learning lesson, definitely lease. And
Mhm.
then have a financial plan in place, and talk to us for sure if you need to create something, and mastermind with other people. And like what we said, go talk to an older farmer, like, see their experiences, and leverage, and
Learn from each other.
yeah, learn. Yeah, and that's the number one thing, is learn for growth. Yeah.
So
And
just before we finish, I want to just for our you know uh, uh,
audience.
audience, that what was the cost of land when you bought it and what's it right now. So maybe I can think of becoming a farmer in Canada as well. Maybe you will help me. Okay. But I want to know about the land cost and everyone. Then I will share for my country and my state as well, particularly my state, not going in Punjab or like everywhere. I will talk about Haryana. So
Yeah.
what's the when you bought, what was the rate and what's the rate
uh,
now?
i
Headly, like
bought
area.
I bought. That's a great question. Yeah, and that comes also to see the foresight of what happens in the future. But I
Yeah.
bought at $50,000 an acre, and over 15 years now, it's 150 to
Okay.
200.
Oh wow.
Depends. Again, depends on
On the land.
how much you beautify the land, right? Like, if you put energy into it, and you have luscious greens and vegetables, and you have a producing farm, like either fruit trees or ground crops, or you have animals, and chickens and goats and everything like that, then it's a different value, right? And then
Hmm.
obviously here in the Okanagan, it's there is wine, right? Like, that's a huge industry. The grape industry is huge. But again, it's what I see. My perspective is, it's monocropping. So
Yeah.
you're reliant on the wine market, and you're not diversifying and create a different market for access. So if anything happens to the wine industry, which is happening,
Yeah. For
then
last
you
2 years.
lose all your legs, all your eggs, right? And
Yeah.
then that, in a sense, also is is so risky and so highly upfront cost, with the
Hmm.
trellising, the irrigation, the plants, and then the wait. Talk about waiting 3 years after you invested 150,000
Hmm.
just in infrastructure alone, right?
Yeah.
So that takes huge funding. Obviously, there is huge funding for that. There's vineyards and financing, government incentives, like what we spoke about. But yeah, definitely, that's one of my key takeaways. And look at it as an investment. It's always going to grow.
Hmm.
If you look at 10 years off, right? It's always going up. Land value is going up because it produces food. And then
Yep.
that's why the cost varies over time. If you did good with the land, well, it's
Yep.
going to face good financially, right?
Yep.
And that's the only way you can build a legacy with real estate. I see it, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe
Got
with finance too.
it. Got it.
Yeah.
Very well said. I can be a farmer. I can see it. I can be easily farmer because in here, if you want to buy a farmland near a city, it is over $1 million right now per acre in India. Can you imagine? Over 1 million, and the average for like Haryana or like interior, like far off in some village, is around pretty much same. What you told me, it's like 100,000 Canadian dollars, like 60 like INR, up to like 1.5. It's pretty much same. So I'm amazed, and if I see the value of the produce is not same. Over there,
Yes.
you earn in dollars, we earn in INR. The land cost is same, no doubt. Chalo, like I would say that labor cost or like the other costs are pretty low for us. But if I compare the biggest investment, it's same for India and Canada right now for my state. So how a farmer will survive after buying the land? Because what he will be selling is like nothing. It's pennies as per compared to Canadian dollars. What a farmer is getting. That's why the gap is always increasing, and that's why a lot of people are giving up farming.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
with closing notes for this podcast from my side, I will always vouch for leasing first as a new farmer. I will go for unconventional produce. We are like organic farming, like export quality. I will dig into not in my pockets, but into government subsidies. I will spend more time in agriculture offices like horticulture, agriculture, talking to these officers, going and trying to apply for those fundings. Then, when it comes to raising fund, like India has so many ways to do it. If any one of your family member is struggling right now, give them my phone number. I will help them out for sure. Okay. And then for financial planning aspect, always, like Ricardo says, don't be emotional. Do your calculations, and do the calculation till the point where you buy the land, and in your head you are selling your crop. Include every each and everything. Don't make the mistakes what my parents or my uncles did or what Rico did initially. And that's my final take. What about you, Rico?
Um, yeah, you summarized it properly. It's plan, proper preparations is proper planning, right? So you got to be prepared. And like, I am also a big pusher of leasing land because it gives you the experience. And then on that big experience, just like any business, you build confidence. And after you have confidence, you have consistency. And with consistency comes funds. And you're going to market yourself. People are going to rave about your products, and you don't even have to sell them at some point. I had my vegetable stand that at first, you got to be like, oh, you got to try this. You got to try this way. You got to cook it. You got to come up with recipes. After 2 years, I was like, I was just like this. I had farmer's market was just opening. And then I was like, everybody came and you would sell out because you grow good products. So that's my takeaway. Just grow and learn. And then that is it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. And sorry we couldn't go to the comments and questions, but you're there. We're just at the beginning. Our next episode is going to be about budgets and barns. So we're going to talk about a little bit of what goes in behind the back end of farming. And we look forward to having you all there. And thank you, Gaurav, for tuning in as well. It's been a pleasure. You were on fire today, I must say.
Yeah, man.
It was great to hear too, having a different perspective, on how how the world works, right? Like we have to have a global picture, I think.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
and that's actually inspiring, because it makes us feel like we're grounded here, and yet we have other places that we can inspire, right?
Yes.
And be the change that we want to see.
Yes.
So on that, thank you again, and
I
we'll
will
see you
close
next
with
time.
one statement. I told you, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, which means
Ja-
all hail
ja-
farmers, all hail soldiers. So, all hail farmers, all hail soldiers. Okay.
Beautiful.
Good
Okay,
night and good
thank you so
morning.
much. Good
Thank you
morning.
so
Good
much.
night.
See you in the next podcast. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.